for part 2 of our Juneteenth series. I'm going to make candied yams. But before we get started with that, I'd like to thank you guys for returning, and I'd like to thank all the new dreamers who have stopped by today. Remember, guys, to subscribe. The subscribe button is down here beneath me. Just click on it, hit the bell, select all, and you will be alerted to all of the new videos that I post to YouTube. So let's get into the ingredients for the candied yams that we're going to make today. First off, we're going to have our sweet potato. We're also going to use some white sugar, brown sugar. We're going to use ground cinnamon and cinnamon sticks, ground ginger, and butter. I'm using salted butter. So I'm going to clear all this away so we can get started with the cooking. The first step in preparing the candied yam is we have to actually peel the potato. This is the part that I really don't like, and I try to get someone else to do for me, but for today I have to do it myself. So you want to use some type of peeler. That way you do not peel away the potato. You see how thin that is? I don't have much potato in there. You want to make sure you keep the potato flesh. So guys, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the yam, as we called it, candy yams, right? Why do we call them candy yams? They're sweet potatoes. They're not yams. It doesn't make any sense. Well, back when Africans were enslaved in America, they were used to the yam. Now, I'm going to place the picture of the yam here so you can see it. So take a look at what you see. You see the sweet potato next to the yam. They look rather similar. Now, because both are tubular root vegetables, and the yam has the ability to grow extremely long, but as far as the texture of the skin and the way that the roots grow out of the sweet potato, it looks very familiar to the yam. So basically what ended up happening is the Africans ended up calling sweet potatoes yams, even though they weren't, because that's what they were used to. And because of the language barrier, they used the word that translated into yam from their native tongue. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the African American plight in America and kind of how we have gotten to this point. Because I think a lot of people all over the world, including Americans, have no idea what it really meant to be an African slave in America. Now, what the slave owners decided to do so that they can have ultimate control of us, we couldn't speak our native tongue when we came over, when we were enslaved. It was forbidden. We couldn't hold on to our family ties. They basically broke up our families. So you may have a mom and a child on one plantation and the dad on another. And then sometimes after a child grew to be a certain age, they split the entire family up. So what do you think that does to the mindset of an individual? They're enslaved. They're brought over all this water on this ship to this country. And then you split the family up, and then you forbid them to use their native tongue. You forbid them to use their native religion. You completely strip them of their culture that they now are not allowed to pass down to their children. What do you think that does to them? Most individuals who have been slaves or made to work for low wages in other countries were never stripped of their culture. They may have been beaten. They may have been used as test guinea pigs. They may have been killed and slaughtered, but they were never stripped of their heritage, of their culture. African Americans were stripped of their heritage and of their culture, and we were just forbidden, and we were treated as if we were animals. We were subhuman. Can you imagine what that does to a person? Because to be honest with you, I can't imagine. These are my ancestors, and I can't imagine how they survived and how they lived that way. But I want to kind of fast forward that to modern day. We are people who don't really know where we come from. We know we come from a continent called Africa. We don't know what country, we don't know the tribe we belong to, we don't know our native tongue of our people. So basically, we're just going back searching and hoping someone says, welcome home. You're dealing with people who've never felt home in America because we were never treated equal as others. Even as others come to this country through immigration, they are treated in a different manner in which we are. I don't know why, and I pray to God that that will change. And I'm not saying that I live this second-class citizen life, but what I am saying is there are a lot of African Americans or Black people who have a lot of issues in America, and those issues stem way back. It's not just about today, and I think that's what people kind of get confused. Like, why are some Black people so angry? They are carrying the weight of their ancestors on their back and everything that they went through because they are still living in an oppressed, suppressed state. And when you're living that way, your mindset, you cannot see a way out. And when you feel like you are treated as subhuman and you could get stopped and you could die from an officer's hand, that messes with your psyche because you already have a mindset that you aren't worth anything because of the way you're being treated. And what I want to say is I do believe things are getting better in America, and I believe they're going to continue to get better. I believe that African Americans as a people are going to be more united and help our cause. I also believe that other nationalities and other races are going to join hands and lock arms with us as we seek justice. It's Juneteenth, so I decided to share a little bit of our history and what that means. And this is, like I said, part 2 of the 3-part series where I am making the candied yams. And I also wanted to say about the yam, when we were enslaved and we were coming across that water and we had that long voyage, we were allowed to bring yams with us. But by the time we got here, we had eaten them all. We didn't have any to now propagate here in America. So we substituted the yam with the sweet potato. So now we are actually going to kind of slice the potato because you want to keep them kind of round. That's typically what we do. Now, if I was making sweet potato casserole, that'd be different, but I'm making candy yams. So I just want to go through and keep them about that thick. And you could go a little thicker too, but you definitely do not want to go thinner. Because the next step for these yams, I'm going to wash them off and then I'm going to boil them with the cinnamon stick. And I love that part because when I boil them with the cinnamon stick, you can just smell the aroma all over the house and it just smells like the holidays. Because remember, I only make these dishes on holidays. And now Juneteenth will be one of those holidays where I make the traditional fare. I washed the yams off again. I have them here in this pot. And now I'm going to add the cinnamon sticks. I'm going to put 2 cinnamon sticks in the water. The cinnamon sticks are going to season the yam and give them a more intense flavor of cinnamon. So I'm gonna put this on the stove. I am going to boil the sweet potatoes until they are a little less than fork tender, because after this, I'm going to actually put them in the oven with the sugar sauce that I am about to make. So just hold on 1 second, hold on tight. I'm gonna show you how we make the sweet potatoes candied. Now, guys, we're actually going to make the sugary sauce that goes over the yams that make them candied yams. In this sauce, we're going to use a stick of butter, 2 cups of sugar, half a cup of brown sugar, heavy whipping cream, vanilla extract, ground cinnamon, and then the ginger. Now, I looked up some recipes. I know how I make them. I looked up some recipes, so I've switched out some ingredients The recipe calls for ground clove and nutmeg, which I'm not using. And I usually don't use heavy whipping cream. I usually put these ingredients over top of the yams and let them bake. But I wanted to try something different this time because I want them to have a more candy texture. And so I decided I would try this after some research that I had done. So we're gonna see how this turns out and what happens, because this recipe is actually a little new to me. I've adjusted it as I tend to do for my taste. So we're gonna take this butter and let it melt in the saucepan on the stove. Let's get the sugar out that we're gonna need to use. It's gonna be 2 cups of white sugar. Now I mix the butter and the sugar together. So the next step is to add a 1/4 cup of whipping cream. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you what it's looking like over here. See how the sugar and the butter came together? That's the consistency that you want. And now I'm gonna add in the heavy whipping cream. So I'm gonna put a 1/4 cup of the whipping cream in. I'm gonna stir that up as well. You wanna stir it until it's creamy. And then we're gonna add in the spices and the vanilla extract. See, now look at that. Now we're gonna add in the ginger. We're gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon. Well, a heaping 1/2 teaspoon. 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And now a 1/2 tablespoon of vanilla extract, or maybe 3/4. Let's go a little bit more. All right. We're gonna stir all that up. That is, ooh, smelling so good. So now we're going to actually take the sweet potatoes out of the pot and put them in the silver pan. So we're gonna turn off the sweet potatoes here and we're gonna transfer them to this pan. Before I put them in the pan, I'm gonna strain them, because you don't wanna put that water into the baking pan. So now I'll just take these and dump them in for the year. So remember, I have this nice sauce that I made. I'm gonna pour it over the yams. So that looks pretty good, guys. See, take a look at that, dreamers, candied yams. So now I am going to put them in the oven. And remember, it's not gonna take as long because I boiled them first. Well, this time what I did was I boiled the potatoes as long as it took me to make the sauce. And now I'm gonna stick this in the oven. I'm thinking maybe 30 minutes and they'll be done. Look at these yams. Look how they turned out. They are so wonderful. I tried a different recipe with the syrup and it worked. I'm so proud of myself. But I had to follow the recipe to the T in order to get the correct outcome. So you know how I like to go off book? This time I stayed on book. Now, if you like this video and you learned how to make yams, share this with one of your friends who may need to learn as well. Also, remember to give me thumbs up if you like the video, and also comment. I appreciate comments. I want to get some feedback. How do you feel about what I said about the African American mindset? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have something else you'd like to include? And last but not least, remember to subscribe if you haven't. My face is going to be up here in a circle. Click on that and that will enable you to subscribe. But remember, click on the bell and select all. That way you will get alerted to all of my new videos here on YouTube. Thank you guys. Have a great day, dreamers.